I'm trying to interview Rachel here.
Oh, sorry. Well, she's crying. Rachel.
My ribs there. My cheeks.
Look, you're not taking me to Tiffany's, eh?
Don't have that mean. Use them with the hand.
If I was going to Tiffany's,
I've still got a piece of cake left.
I'd be acting like a lady.
I've done this bit. Right, what's your full name, Rachel?
Again.
You just answered the fucking question. When's your birthday?
November 28th, 1996.
Oh.
I'm very old.
And where were you born?
Middlesbrough.
Ooh, and
Born and bred.
And who are your parents?
Donna Sadler and Derek Sheeran.
On New Mannion Court, where you lived
just
when you were
a patch of grass now, isn't it?
Yeah, and I lived there, your mum and your dad lived there, and Derek lived there. You come out of ours, I was on the top floor, you come out of ours and you didn't go in that door, but I think you went in that one, and your dad lived in there on the top one. Tracy and Barry lived that side, a couple of doors down that side. Anyway, I think a couple of days later we were at the Peters Club and he come over and sat with us, and I think I just ended up having a drink with him or something daft like that, and I fell pregnant with Rachel. And I didn't want a family, but I was over the moon, and I remember Grandad saying to me, I can't believe you're pregnant, we thought you'd give birth to the dog. Because how Shiva went everywhere with me. And I never wanted kids, never planned kids, but I was absolutely over the moon when I found out.
So it really shifted you?
It just, everything just shifted because I think the age I was.
So do you know any of Derek's side?
Michael is Dad's brother, I think.
Yeah.
Susan's his wife. He's got a brother called Peter, but I've only met him once.
Yeah, Peter and Mark. Peter and Mark got on with smashing. Especially Mark. Mark isn't a really good lad, good laugh.
Oh, Angie. I forgot about Angie.
Yeah.
Auntie Angie.
There's Moira, Michael. I don't know whether Michael's the eldest or Moira, but it's Moira, Michael, Derek, Angela.
Knew Alma and Patrick. Heavy smokers. Very heavy smokers.
Yeah.
They were all sat in the same seats when I went to see them.
Yeah.
They were just never Patrick was always sat in the armchair just facing the telly. Quite shy back then, so I just always felt a bit awkward. But it wasn't like coming here as a kid when I was just so used to it, it was normal.
Were they nice to you?
They were nice to me, it was just more like they were talking to Dad more than, and I was kind of listening to the conversation, but I wasn't really old enough to contribute anything, so it was just...
Didn't they watch Deal or No Deal? And
yeah.
I remember you saying that.
And horse racing and stuff.
Yeah.
Patrick was always watching that, I think.
Yeah. I got on with Patrick, although he was very quiet. I think he wasn't well then, but I don't think we knew that he was poorly, and I know I think they died within a couple of weeks or one another.
I remember it was Patrick died first, didn't he?
Yeah.
But then Alma died a couple of weeks later on Patrick's birthday.
Yeah, and they're both buried together in Essen Cemetery.
Because you wanted to know the two Susans thing, didn't you?
Oh yeah, you know, like Michael married Susan, and you know there's another Susan, little Susan. Like, what's their relation?
Michael married Susan, Susan's mother, little Susan's mother. We call her little Susan.
Okay, so little Susan is the daughter of Michael and Susan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, we were right,
I got it
basically.
And you remember Lorraine as well over the road?
Yeah.
That's Sylvia, that's her sister.
Okay.
So when you went over the road when you were a kid.
Lorraine and little Susan are sisters.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Did Peter and Mark get married, or?
I didn't, but I tell you who did. Elmira.
She didn't. Who did she get married to?
No, when you married Kelly, Kenneth. Have you heard Stephen gives out the BMA?
Yeah.
Stephen. He's got the last, you might have only seen Anna, the little last Anna.
Yeah.
But Stephen, that's Moira's
Daughter.
Son, sorry.
Unless he wears a skirt.
And you're saying that the little person is Stephen's kid?
And as Stephen's kid.
Forget Anna for now. I'm just saying, Stephen, Anna doesn't really want to come into it.
She's still Portus now?
No, she isn't, but the kids are still Portus.
Is she back to Sheeran?
Yeah, she's got married again, but wouldn't bother with that one. She's got married. That one will do.
Alma's maiden name was Massey, and she was born in South Bank in 1937. Her father, Derek's grandfather, and Rachel's great-grandfather was Albert Edward Massey, and he was born in 1898 in Middlesbrough.
So I remember Albert.
That's her dad, I think, yeah.
Yeah. What a thief, Albert.
You both see it together.
This is my growing up ground, Jess. Look how pleasant it is.
Chavy area.
We're looking for Nelson Street. I was going to take you there today, but COVID.
Nelson.
Found Napier, does that help?
Big long one that runs through the middle.
Ah, yes, I see it.
That's because I'm looking to sort the side street.
Ah!
Give it a Riyadh.
Escapade.
Ah.
I'm just going to move this way.
Escapade on around Amateur.
Escapade.
Rachel remembers this one though, don't you?
Boatmen subjected to water barrage by fire brigade. The wild escapade of a madman and the novel method of his capture after offering a desperate resistance, described in a story told to the South Bank magistrate when Albert E. Massey of North Street was brought up in custody.
Whilst on duty in Nelson Street about midnight, Constable Patterson heard a noise and discovered a man on the roof of the premises of Mr. Hobson even, not Hobson, where he carried on business as a jeweller.
The assistance of Superintendent Walker and several other policemen was obtained, and a cordon was drawn round the building so that the intruder, who later proved to be Massey, was captured.
Massey, however, immediately began a rapid fusillade of tiles, bricks and even chimney pots at the police. In this manner he held the room despite many devices to draw him.
Then the services of the mortar fire engines were requisitioned, and after being subjected to 5 minutes water barrage, Massey was heard yelling, "Stop that game!"
However, he made no move to come down and surrender himself, and when Constable Oldroyd gallantly mounted the fire escape ladder, Massey threatened to split his head open if he approached him.
Well, undated, the constable secured his quarry and placing a rope around the man, he lowered him down to the footpath.
Well, this was Rachel's...
Are you related to this madman?
Massey, yeah? Can't you tell?
It's your great-granddad, isn't it?
Yeah, great-granddad.
He's only once removed. Once great.
Once removed, it was removed from the premises apparently.
Well, old man and all their brothers and sisters all passed away.
Got Christopher, Harry, Albert, John, Charlie.
Right.
That's roughly needing the same. I think it was the next one. I think our mom's next.
She's like one of the youngest then.
Yeah, older than me,
So you're named after that Derek, do you think?
Yeah. I wrote his email when he died. 35.
Oh, that's quite young, isn't it, though?
It was. So that's 5'7", isn't it?
Yeah.
One more. Raymond. He was the last one to die, Raymond.
have we all passed away now?
All of them. I know mum and dad. Yeah, sorry. They're all mum and dad. That's actually... They're all buried. Yeah, everyone.
They're all in Eston.
Granddad is, which I didn't know until because John's buried with their dad, Granddad. So I don't know where they are. They're all Eston, so he's Nan. You know about Alma's mum, which is my nan.
Yeah.
She was massive.
What's her first name?
Oh, Elizabeth.
Alright.
She got busy.
Is it Elizabeth with an S or is it?
Z, probably.
Z.
Which is...
E-L-I-Z.
Yeah.
And that's your grandma.
This is Elizabeth.
Ah,
This
yes, I
is
remember this
Massey's
lady.
wife.
This is Albert Massey's wife, yeah. So this is Alma's mum. So just,
She looks
Alive.
She looks like Alma. She looks a lot like Alma.
does she?
Yeah. She's got like the nose and the smile.
She's about
She
6,
died-
so you never met her, but you weren't alive then.
No, she died 15 years before I was
Yes,
born.
Rachel, my maths is off today.
I wouldn't leave Nana alone. We used to go to the market on a Friday and get tripe in newspaper with loads of salt and vinegar. Lol, loved it. If I knew what tripe was then, I would never have touched it. Haha, missed the old days. It's like looking at Auntie Alma. This is what I just said, really, isn't it? Remember your Nana well, Mick. Your mum and Nana were always together, arm in arm. God bless their souls, lovely ladies.
The drink looks nice. It's blackcurrant, eh?
Yeah.
So just before Lizzie was born, on the 1901 census, we've got Christopher Priestman. He's the head of the family and he's 42, and he's a general labourer. And then we've got his wife Louisa Priestman, and she's 36. Then we've got the start of the kids. So in total, Christopher and Louisa had Florence, Ruth, James, John, George, Charles, our Lizzie, Christopher Jr. and Henrietta.
That's
I think I remember
we're going to go
something
down
about
it.
this.
So that's all of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So Florence is potentially. Do you want to say?
She's potentially in America.
Yeah. All Moira told me, which is her auntie, is that Florence used to write letters to Lizzie in South Bank from America, and Lizzie used to hide them from Christopher Sr.
Right.
So if you think about when Christopher Sr. died,
1917.
she must have gone to America at some point before 1917, and I can't find her at all.
But it was like it's a wonder if she stayed in New York, because New York's kind of like at that time was always kind of the entry point for immigrants, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was kind of like the big thing.
John died as a teenager in South Bank, and Charles is next.
And Charles, I think he died in the war, didn't he? Yeah, so he was only 16
Charles
as well.
Priestman was a stoker on HMS
Indefatigable.
Yeah, thank you. Which was sunk World War I in the Battle of Jutland.
At the end of May 1916, both the British and Germans planned to send a large battle group to a position roughly 80 miles west of the northern tip of Denmark. They each planned a trap for the other. With early but hazy intelligence on the German sortie, the British left harbour first. The British Grand Fleet coming from its northern bases at Scapa Flow and Cromarty, the battle cruisers joining from Rosyth further south. It was a huge force, silently sailing into the night. The British were on a direct collision course with Hipper's scouting group of 5 battle cruisers. They were steaming roughly 60 miles ahead of Scheer and the main battle fleet. Only chance brought the 2 battle cruiser groups together. The firing from the Von der Tann that scored the first victory. Her gunnery officer, Marholz, managed to score repeated hits, though he said he could hardly make out the target as she was almost totally covered in splash. After only 13 minutes of battle, the first British ship, the Indefatigable, slid out of line, rolled over and sank. Any survivors didn't last long in the numbingly cold waters of the North Sea. 2 men, later rescued by the Germans, tried in vain to rescue their captain.
Charles's body was never recovered for burial, as he was a stalker. He would never been able to get out in time. As it sunk in minutes, his name is on the Chatham Naval Memorial in Chatham.
Hello, is that Ruth?
It is.
Hi, it's Sean off Facebook.
Hiya.
So you were Chris's daughter then?
Yeah, Chris and Will. If it's Priestman, the Priestmans, is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, that's them.
Yeah. He was me. There were my mum and dad. Yes.
Right.
Who are you?
It's my cousin that's related to you. She's like my sister, really. Elizabeth's great granddaughter.
Elizabeth. Now, I think are you talking about Lizzie from South Bank?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. She was my dad's sister.
Yeah, and she married into Massey.
That's right.
Yeah.
You are dead right. Yeah.
All right. So we got the right person then.
You have now. Yeah. I'm 76 in my next birthday this month.
Yeah.
You know, and my sister's 70 odd. My brother died when he was 61, where he had cancer. My mum was one of 12.
Right.
But I didn't know more. And I think my dad was one of 13.
Yeah,
and I didn't know them either. So there was Lizzie.
Yeah.
Now there was Hetty.
Yeah, Hetty's the youngest, yeah.
South Bank.
Yeah.
And she was married to my mum's brother.
Right, yeah, this is it, because I've got her as marrying George Tranter first.
That's it.
And then she married another Goodison, so I was wondering if there was a connection there.
And she was a Goodison, my mum.
Yeah, and then...
Before she married my dad. Oh, Auntie Lizzie and Auntie Hattie, they were alright. They were just down-to-earth people.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know whether they were actually born there, because when my dad was very funny. He never talked about what happened in the past. A steel man.
Yeah.
He worked on the blast furnaces, and he was very, very strict.
Oh, right.
He was a hard man, I suppose you would say.
Yeah.
He was alright with us, never ever hit us, never ever got hit or something.
Yeah.
Massey's, there was Albie Massey.
Yeah, that's right.
Massey.
Yeah, that's right. And
absolutely loved my dad. He used to always be coming to our house, to my mum and dad, in the car.
That's right.
But I can remember, as I say, Chrissy Mass. After Dad died, we lost touch with Chrissy Mass.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of them's left alive now. Raymond, you said he's dead.
Yeah.
Well, Chrissy would be old now, because he was years older.
Yeah, Chrissy's the eldest, I think.
Yeah. And then I think there was Harry.
Yeah.
He was in the Air Force. He was married twice, but the thing was, we didn't know about the first time he was married until he died.
Oh, right. She's called Mary, I think.
His wife, and I think he had 2 children.
Right.
And they died of consumption.
Yeah.
That might to my mum for God. Well, my mum and dad were only young when they died.
Yeah.
My mum was 55.
Okay.
And my dad was 59.
Yeah.
But they'd been married a lot, they'd been married 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Because my brother was 30 odd.
And then he married Jenny, didn't he?
Oh God, yeah, Jenny Dove, yeah. Forgot about that, yeah. We don't see any. Yeah, that was said, I forgot about her, yeah. I met her in the fish shop.
Did you?
Don't laugh, because it's very, very true. He was calling for fish and chips after a pint a couple of years after Mum died.
Yeah.
And he used to go into the Clary and he'd corn for fish and chips after a pint.
Yeah.
And that's how I met her.
Oh, bless him. He didn't live long after that, though, did he? It wasn't long. It wasn't long.
He only lived, I don't know, months. That was all.
Yeah.
After he got married to her, yeah, it was only months. He had a heart attack.
Oh.
And he died, oh God, I can't remember, it was only a couple of weeks, it might have been 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
And she cut us off after that.
Mm.
But everything Jenny got, because the thing that belonged to me in the house was a black Stanway upright piano.
Alright.
And she wouldn't let me have it.
Was it yours,
she
though?
wouldn't let me have it, so I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And then after Dad had been dead for years and years and years, and she was on a deathbed, I got a note to say I could have it, and I got it, and it was absolutely ruined, completely wrecked.
Yeah. Are you named after one of your dad's sisters?
I don't know.
Because there's one of his eldest sisters was called Ruth.
Oh well, I didn't know that, say, because we only met out of my dad's side. There was Uncle George and Uncle Jim.
Yeah.
And they lived in Scarborough. I'm going to tell you something.
Right.
We went through, my mum and dad,
Yeah.
my sister and my brother and me, went through to stay with Uncle George.
Yeah.
At Scarborough.
Mm-hmm.
And we went for a week's holiday because
Right.
we lived in Redcar, and we thought he had a big house, they had big houses.
Yeah.
And we went through, and one night we were bit to death with fleas. We came home the next day. It was the worst time I've ever had in my life. Uncle George's, we never ever went back.
Oh God.
He used to come through and see me dad, especially when Mum was bad and that way, you know, but oh God, we couldn't go back, it was terrible. There was only one and only time went through to it. Lovely, great big house, and they had collections of butterflies and all kinds. Must have been worth a bloody fortune when you think about it now,
Yeah.
you know.
So it was just a mess, you say? Like...
Oh, it was a mess. Oh God, yeah.
So going into Louisa's side of the family, this would be Lizzie's mum. She was born in 1865 in York.
All of them?
1851, yeah.
Thomas Todd,
Yes.
40. What water?
Front
Man.
man. Oh, he's a what?
Right, next one.
Mary Todd is also 40, but she doesn't have a job apparently.
As,
Woman, of course.
as the neighbour do.
Matthew Todd,
Yeah.
13. Waterman as well.
He started young.
Taken after Papa. James Todd is 10, also unemployed. You should be getting your kids to work from 5 really. And
Marsh L
Israel.
is Israel.
It does look like, it doesn't look like Israel.
it's definitely
And he's
8.
So the nearest census to Louisa's birth is the 1871 census. And on the 1871 census, we've got living at Water Lane in York, number 3, we've got James Todd. He's the head of the family, he's 44, and he's a waterman. Then we've got his wife Elizabeth Todd, and she's 42. Then we've got some kids. Henrietta Squire, she's the daughter, She's married and she's 18.
Oh, she's married at 18. Oh, I wish I knew that.
Then we've got Emily Todd, she's the daughter and she's 11. Then we've got Elizabeth daughter, who's 8. And then we've got Louisa, who's 6.
Behind of one by.
I know what this. Look at what the column is.
Right. So she's.
Does it say blind in one eye?
Yeah, it must do. Yeah.
Yeah,
blind
sorry.
of one eye.
Yeah, so she's not
from
fully blind.
smallpox.
So
This is Louisa Todd's. So Louisa Todd's sister is blind in one eye.
Louisa Todd's sister. Yeah, she's got a sister called Elizabeth, who she's named Lizzie from South Bank after.
After, yeah. You're named after one of my blind sister.
And my mum.
The whole story with James Todd, he's like a hero. Gondola on the river. Is that what they live? Oh, so they actually lived on it. William Blackwell of Sheffield, table blade grinder and other articles of wearing apparel. The property of James Todd.
You've missed a sentence out there.
Have I?
Well, yes, was charged with having stolen. Start again.
William Blackwell of Sheffield, table blade grinder, was charged with having stolen a pair of boots, 2 shirts and other articles of wearing apparel. The property of James Todd, Waterman, and W.M. Winterburn of Water Lane. The prisoner had been lodging at Todd's house, and early on the morning of Sunday the 27th he was left lying on the sofa in the kitchen, where were also the articles in question. At a later hour in the morning, they and the prisoner were missed, having left his own boots behind him. The stolen property had not since been found, but as there could have be no doubt as to who was the delinquent, the bench committed the prisoner to the House of Correction for a month.
So James Todd got his boots stolen?
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's what he gets for being nice.
You can read.
Shortly before 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, the 2 boys and a number of others were on the ice not far from the side of the River Foss, adjoining a field at the end of Palmer Lane. Only half an hour before, a small steamer had broken the ice in the centre of the river, leaving only a few yards on each side unbroken, but the boys, with the thoughtfulness of youth, ventured upon it. Ooh. It appears that whilst Moss was walking along, he fell from a large sheet of ice which had become separated from the rest and had turned over. Another boy, 13 years of age, named Joseph Wayne, residing in Palmer Lane, that rhymed, went to his rescue but also fell into the water, and then Duckett went to render his assistance. He was also immersed in the river. I think it just goes to show, just don't try. As to reach the boys who were struggling in the water, succeeding in taking out Wayne and Moss in a short time. Beckett, however, was in the river for about a quarter of an hour, and when he was taken out with assistance of grappling irons, he was discovered to be dead.
But Rachel's a hero, yeah.
Same didn't follow through.
I know, it's a shame. It's not in this line of the family, I'm afraid. November 28th. Really?
Your birthday?
Yes. Benjamin
Benjamin Wilding. We'll just forget his middle name.
And Elizabeth Hannah Todd.
Yeah.
Benjamin was 22, Elizabeth was 17. A bit wrong, really. Condition, bachelor and a spinster.
Means the single, yeah. Alma's mum. And there's Louisa to James Todd's daughter. We're doing these two though, so it's like Louisa's sister Elizabeth and Benjamin. And obviously these are cousins to these, yeah. So Emily married James. And Alice married John.
Oh. Talk about keeping it in the family.
Right, so
are you going to do that?
Brace yourself.
Go on.
You know James and George's wives, is it Emily and Alice?
Yes, but I didn't know them.
Right, well, they are, Emily and Alice are their mum's sister's daughters, so that they married their cousins, if that makes sense.
All right. Oh God, funny like I told you.
James Todd and Elizabeth Walker had 4 daughters for the purpose of this next story. So just to recap, he had Henrietta, who married William Pickering, Emily, who married James Kay, Elizabeth, as we know, married Ben Wilding when she was 17, and Louisa married Christopher Priestman. And this is Rachel's line.
Mrs. Pickering received a letter from a friend at York stating that the mother was being ill-treated and had threatened to put an end to herself. The writer of the letter suggested Mrs. Pickering might do something for the old woman. Mrs. Pickering immediately went to York and proceeded to the Wildings' house to bring her mother away, whether it was a quarrel. Oh, back in the days when family drama was reported in the paper. Sequel to Family Dispute. Oh, it's a sequel? York man sent to the assizes on charge of manslaughter. Oh my God. Benjamin Wilding, 68, of 1 George Street was brought...
Which is right behind you.
was brought before the York magistrates today on a charge of causing the death of Mrs. Henrietta Pickering, a widow, of 133 Long Westgate, Scarborough, by striking her on the head with his fist on September 1st. A bit violent, really, isn't it? Wilding was represented by Mr. Haig, solicitor. The chief constable said that the accused was a brother-in-law of the deceased, whose mother had resided with him for 5 or 6 years. In consequence of certain information which she received at Scarborough, she went over to York on September 1st to fetch her mother to Scarborough. She was accompanied to Wilding's house by her sister, Mrs. Emily Key, of 6 Willis Street, Heslington Road. In a discussion which took place in the mother's bedroom, Wilding told Mrs. Pickering that he would not allow her to take her mother away. Something was said about a quarrelling, and Wilding said he was going to quarrel with the old lady when he liked.
I will do what I want.
What a way to word it.
And do what he liked with her. Immediately, the deceased entered the accused Wilding of having struck her, and he ordered her out of the house. The mother was taken away to Scarborough by the deceased, and from that day, Mrs. Pickering was more or less ill. Morning.
So he hit her here, and she went back to Scarborough, and
For 2 months.
And she died in Scarborough.
Poor Henrietta.
I know. Obviously, this is a paper
because
about...
she wasn't supposed to go back to Scarborough in the first place.
Well, she only came here to get her mum, didn't she?
Yeah. Medical evidence showed that Pickering died from injury to the brain as the result of violence. It is alleged that Wilding attacked Mrs. Pickering in a blow over the side.
It seems after that, when hero James Todd died, Elizabeth went to live with her daughter Elizabeth and her son-in-law Ben Wilding, and this incident occurred and ill treatment was happening, which caused Henrietta to go and get her mother Elizabeth, and it resulted in Henrietta's passing in Scarborough. Elizabeth also died in Scarborough, and then Elizabeth and Ben also moved to Scarborough, and they lived throughout the Second World War, and they both died in the 1940s. It'll be interesting to know what Elizabeth thought of Henrietta's death and if she blamed her husband Ben. Louisa, after leaving South Bank, retired in Scarborough as well, and she died in 1940 when Alma was 3 years old. So it'll be interesting to know if Alma ever met Louisa. Going back to a happier time though, I'm going to go through James Todd's side of the family, and we know his dad was Thomas Todd, but we're going to go through James Todd's sisters.
To receive us at all, we can't very near Macau.
Because it's such a short street. It's just up there, I think. It's in ones.
6. Oh, it's the one with all the Christmas decks. The one with the Christmas decks. So you want us facing this way?
Yeah. Oh,
So, Thomas and Mary decided to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 children. Her fanny must have been ruined by the time she had Harriet.
And Janice had a kid called
He was
Louisa.
the second born.
Louisa, who had Elizabeth.
Yes. Of the borough.
lunatic hospital.
And this is a lunatic diary of one of the sisters. If you want to keep the
Oh, I remember her now.
if you keep the tree out again, this is Emma.
So, no wonder. She's like 6 child in. Sunday. Takes rather more food, but becomes thinner. Oh, I wish I could do that. She is sick after eating. Probably why. Eats her breakfast, but seldom takes food at her meals, ? She is sick after it. She's learned to take her medicine and has a peach. One should take forward in smaller quantities more frequently. Monday, she's remarkably better. Takes table meals. Tuesday, remains in bed this morning, too weak to get up. She eats healthy and she is sick after it. Will not take food in smaller quantities and frequently. Her sister has been written to. Wednesday, visit of her sister. There's an unremarkable change in her state and she has become talkative and converses occasionally. She has a wish to live but thinks she has gone too far. Dead. It's more cheerful this morning and has taken medicine. Her mother arrived and went into the ward. She was dying. Emma died at 12 o'clock.
What?
She's dead?
Yeah, I know.
But I thought that was joking.
Oh.
That's the only... Todd. Oh, yeah, Todd. Emma M.
Does it say anything else?
Just that it was at Lincoln and at 8 AR.
April.
Oh, at the 8th of April she died.
Yeah. Right, so this is the census for number 4, the 1871 census, I think. You're looking for number 4, obviously.
So Mary Todd is the head.
Thomas Todd, obviously the waterman, has passed away.
Yeah, accountant.
An
investor or a pension plan beneficiary who is entitled to receive the regular payments of a pension or annuity investment.
Very nice.
5.
27, 26, 25, 24.
Right, yeah, so it's the 1911 census, so it's 40 years, is it, after that last census?
Yeah. So Alice Todd, 67. What is that? Sister. Private means, sorry. And Amelia Todd, joint, is that a recipient?
Verifier.
Joint verifier, 65, single, private means as well.
So they never got married and lived here together. Yeah.
We love Sister Pride.
And look, that's the will for the first one.
So Alice Atkinson of 23 Portland Street, York, Spencer, died 11th of August 1918. And she left. Does that probate? Does that mean she's left the stuff to Amelia Todd?
Yeah.
On the 21st of August.
How much?
It's £425, 2 cents and 7d.
2 shillings.
2 shillings.
7 pence.
Bloody hell.
£425 in 1918 is equivalent in purchasing power to about £25,363.24 today, an increase of £24,938.24. Amelia of 23 Portland Street, York, Spencer, died 10th of March 1922. Probate, London, 10th of April to Walter Herbert Judson, civil servant. Effects £1,204, 5 shillings, 4 pence.
And that conversion is?
Jesus. £71,852.50.
Can you see why they weren't working in private means?
Wow.
Yeah. So
I got it all.
Walter Herbert, if you go back to the tree that says Walter got it, that Judson guy in London is Harriet's son.
Right, so at least it stayed in the family.
Stayed in the family, just not the right line.
Yeah.
Rachel and me think that in that house, remember when we were in that conversation, they thought that 2 sisters at like a big grand table, was it?
Yeah. Posh, like olden day posh houses, aren't they?
Yeah, it'd be massive.
Them 2 rattling around that big old place, going upstairs and things.
3-story building, just the 2 elderly sisters.
I know.
No wonder they never married as well.
Oh,
Didn't need
not
to.
if I've got that much money.